Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Dan Wyatt.
And I'm your other host, Ryan Gillespie. We're far from qualified, and this is Into the Conjurverse.
Alrighty, welcome back everyone. We're here on episode 4. It's been a journey so far. We finally got to like the actual Conjuring movies.
Let's go.
What like started it all. We've been talking about some spin-offs.
Mm-hmm.
we haven't got
for 3 whole weeks.
Yeah. We haven't but we finally got to watch the first Conjuring movie and get to this episode because this is the first film. Like this is 2013. This was the first film that came out, and it was so successful it spawned the rest of that.
Introduced us to it. Annabelle doll.
Yeah.
Ed and Lorraine. Crazy.
Yeah. Such a good movie, to be honest. But directed by none other than James Wan. He started it off. It even it says a James Wan film in the opening too. So he's big balling out there. Written by Chad Hayes, which he wrote all 3 Conjuring movies, just 1, 2, and 3, not the whole universe of movies. And then got a few producers, Tony DeRosa Grund, Rob Cohen, and also Peter Safran, who we've seen before. Yep. He's produced the rest of those, I think. He probably is producer on all of them. He has been so far. But The Conjuring stars Patrick Wilson as Ed Warren. You might know him from The Phantom of the Opera, Watchmen, or maybe Insidious if you're a horror movie watcher.
Yeah, he is, like we talked about this, like great cast for Ed Warren. He does a great job.
Yeah. No, I mean, I wouldn't want anyone else after seeing him 17 times. Vera Farmiga as Lorraine Warren. She's been in a bunch of stuff as well. Orphan, you may know her as the mom from Bates Motel. And she's also going to star in that new Hawkeye show. However, she's not in a certain movie that we...
Yeah, she's not in Holes as Kissing Kate Barlow. And, she's also not Patricia Arquette, who actually plays Kissing Kate Barlow. But if you look, if you Google both of them, they're basically the same person. So I don't take back what I said or my, decade-long knowledge of,
your belief that she was Kissing Kate Barlow.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate for sure, but definitely not her. But I guess we'll get over it. I was lied to. So see, I told you that in bad faith because I just believed him without.
And I'm not sure that it's a lie if I truly believed it, which I did. So
we'll see. It's fine. We'll take it a small claims court. We got Ron Livingston as Roger Perrin, the dad in the movie. He's been in Swingers, Office Space, and also The Fifth Wave, which was a horrible movie. With it had Chloe. I think it had Chloe Grace. Moretz. Yeah, I always say
I've never seen it.
It's so bad. It's just the worst movie. And then finally we got Lily Taylor as Carolyn Perrin, the mother in the movie. She hasn't been in a whole lot that I've seen or think is notable, but she was in the second Maze Runner, which I think those movies did well. Yeah. They did all right. Enough to have 3 of them.
Sure.
So, I mean, I haven't watched them, but that's the only thing notable. The Conjuring had a production budget of $20 million. So a little on the higher side compared to the other ones, but did have a worldwide gross of 319. So still big bucks.
Yeah, these are massive stonks whenever you invest in one of these movies. It's crazy.
Yeah, definitely got their money's worth. Of course, spoiler alert, we're going to be getting in-depth about the movie. So if you want to watch it before you listen, you can actually stream this one on Netflix and HBO Max if you have cable login or a subscription. And then, of course, you can rent it on Apple TV, Amazon, Google Play, YouTube, etc. All the crappy renting places. And then also, trigger warning. Mm-hmm. Be sure to check out doesthedogdie.com.
Our unofficial sponsor.
Our unofficial sponsor for specific triggers. And there's an app on Google Play and the Apple Store now. What is it called? The App Store?
I think that's right.
I don't have an iPhone.
But this is a spoiler. We already got the spoiler alert out of the way, so if you didn't want spoilers, you're gone. This is one on the list of the worst movies of all time. So I'll just leave that.
That's his opinion.
I'll just leave that there.
His opinion, that is, I would say wrong, but that's my opinion. So mine are objectively correct, though.
Yeah. Check Does the Dog Die?
Yeah. So, jumping right into the movie, we are in 1971. This is right after Annabelle, right after those events. We actually saw the same scene that we saw in Annabelle with Ed and Lorraine talking to the previous owners in their apartment.
Girls. Yeah.
So, right after that, we're going in chronological order still. But it's 1971, personally my favorite year of all time. Mm-hmm. Roger and Carolyn Perrin moved into a farmhouse in Harrisville, Rhode Island with their 5 daughters. Yeah. I'm not even going to name them all. They're kind of interchangeable. Yeah. They're ranging from ages of like 15 to like 4 or 5.
Sure, yeah.
I got too many of them.
I remember, so you've seen this movie before. This is my first time seeing it. You were like, there's like 4 or 5 girls that just are throughout the movie. You don't need to, it doesn't really matter who's who.
Yeah, no.
But one of them is Joey King. So, yeah. And she's really good.
Good actor, good child actor. She's like 20 years old now, so this was 2013.
She's our age, I think, yeah.
Yeah. So, they're with their 5 daughters. They're moving in. They also have this nice, like, little border collie dog, very cute. And, like, the first thing we see as they're moving in boxes is Sadie is, like, freaking out, the dog. She's so scared. She won't enter the house. So, obviously setting up some, like, ooh, spoop. But, while the girls are taking a break from unpacking, they play a game called Hide and Clap, which is Marco Polo hide and seek type thing
with a blindfold.
Yeah, the seeker. Polo, the seeker is blindfolded, and they get 3 claps where all the hiders have to clap, and so you're just
And your clap is just like a 2.
Yeah, two little soft claps. And while they're playing this, one of the girls hid in a closet, and whenever she found her, she like rushed at her real fast and accidentally knocked into a wall, which knocked a board loose, which showed a hidden cellar.
Yeah.
Big old basement, huge stairs going down, and they're like, what the hell?
It was boarded up, kind of hidden away.
Yeah, straight up boarded all the way. It just looked like a wall before they, slammed into it on accident. So, the parents went down there, investigated. It was just had a bunch of junk in there, piano, just furniture, nasty cobwebs, and the dad just walked right through the cobwebs, face
like a madman.
Yeah, I don't know.
Psychopath. Just
I don't know who the hell would do that.
Yeah.
But and then also on that first day, the youngest daughter, April, just forget that name, doesn't matter. She found a music box out under a tree, like in the front yard, and it was like a circular
tent.
Yeah, circus tent, and when you wound it up, the music played and a little clown popped out. And it had a spiral mirror that spun. Mm-hmm. So,
and it is just coincidentally, when she found this, this music box under a nice big tree outside, and when she grabbed it, the clouds, it's like instant cloud cover, the shot turned dark and gray, and it was...
Yeah, it made it very, like, ominous, but nothing happened at the time.
Yep.
She does... later in the movie tell her mom that she has a new friend, because like the mom hears her talking to herself in her bedroom, and she goes on to say that it's my friend Rory. Whenever he
lives here too.
Yeah, he lives here. Yeah. When you turn the box on, you can see him in the mirror like behind you. So the mom's like, she's kind of she's got an eerie feeling about the house, so she's kind of skeptical, but she looks in it, and the girl like pops up and just scares her. She's like, I got you, haha, it's funny.
She plays it off.
Yeah. So she's like, you shithead, But they start noticing things pretty quickly after, they move in. Every clock in the house just stops at 3:07 a.m. for some reason. Birds start just killing themselves on the window.
Yeah.
And the side of the house, they just start bombarding, and the father's like, these birds are breaking their necks on my
flying
house.
Into the house.
Yeah. Just really weird. Carolyn wakes up like the first night with just huge bruises on her leg, and of course the dad, like, they make a sex joke. They're like, oh my god, did I do that? So he's like, I don't remember doing that or whatever. And also after that very first night, the young girl is like, hey, where's Sadie? And she's just the mom's like, oh, she's outside, honey. And so she goes run. She's like, oh, why don't you feed her? It's breakfast time. So she runs out there, and poor Sadie just dead as hell, just out on her little chain.
Yeah, and that's when I stopped watching. So then you're going to go ahead and tell me about the rest.
So the dog, in fact, does die. Later night, you got 2 of the girls in the bedroom, and one of the girls, her leg is getting like grabbed. She's getting like kind of pulled out of her bed a little bit, and she wakes up freaking out. She's telling her sister to knock it off, but then she sees her sister just curled up in her bed across the room, and she's like, okay, well,
she's spooked.
Yeah, she's scared as hell, and then she sees something in the corner of her room, like behind the door, wakes her sister up,
The door is open.
So it's like a little crack that she, like a little, corner that she's looking at. And then she tells her sister, and her sister wakes up and goes over there, and she's like, I don't see anything. And she sees something. The younger one sees something for sure. And then we don't see anything, but the door slams, and they start screaming, and parents come running, and they're like, what the hell's going on?
She said it's she says it's right behind you, and then she's like, I don't see anything, but it smells so bad.
Yeah. Yeah, they said it just smells like a fart. It just smells just terrible.
Yeah. But the parents come in, and she's telling them what's going on, and she says that there's someone in here, and she says it said that it wants her family dead.
Yeah, she was just crying. It was really good acting on her part.
Joey King, for sure.
Yeah. Another night, Carolyn wakes up to some noises just outside of the bedroom. She goes out there, and it's the claps, like they do, like the kids play. So she's like, is it one of the girls, whatever? And then she ends up, it lures her to the basement with these clapping sounds. And then, of course, the light goes out, the door slams, like it's all this spooky stuff's happening. And she's sitting at the top of the staircase with nothing but matches. And probably one of the best scenes.
This is, in my opinion.
And you hear a voice say, hey, you want to play hide and clap? And then these nasty little hands come up next to her and just, super spooky. She starts banging on the door, trying to get out. At the same exact time, also, one of the girls is sleepwalking and just banging her head up against a wardrobe. Just a thing that she's been doing, like very rhythmically. And her sister was like, God damn it, not again. And she's sleepwalking.
Cindy.
Yeah, God, it's just Cindy. Apparently she's sleptwalked before. And she goes over there and gets her in bed. And then at the same time, there's this nasty looking woman that's on top of the wardrobe that like jumps on the older sister.
Yeah.
And just starts,
sort of pins her to the ground.
Yeah. Just starts attacking her. So you got the mom trapped in the basement. You got the girls in the bedroom getting attacked by this demon woman. And then dad is just getting home because he works like weird hours because he's a truck driver.
Yeah.
So he was getting home late at night. And he just walks into his house with screams coming from multiple locations. He's like, shit. He's like, okay. So he's got to figure out what's going on. So at that point, they're like, this is ridiculous. They contact Ed and Lorraine. Carolyn had actually gone to a lecture, and that's where she tracked them down and saw that they had a lecture.
And in the lecture,
Lorraine Warren was in the audience. And they were also showing a video of Maurice from The Nun.
Yeah. Because
we saw him like possessed at the end of the movie. Well, they were showing his exorcism.
Yeah, really cool.
And so after the lecture's over, Carolyn approaches them and is like, please, can you come to my house? Something horrible is going on. We're being attacked. We're being tormented. It's terrible. So Ed is, at first, he's like, nah, we're busy. We got too much, I got time for that right now. And then
not today.
Lorraine was more empathetic, and she's like, of course. They were completely on different pages.
Yeah.
And, so whenever they first go there, Lorraine immediately, so she's a clairvoyant, she immediately sees like this dark, shadowy presence like latched onto the family. Like it's kind of floating around behind them. Just
when she
first walked in, like
she
saw it immediately
as they were giving her tour throughout the house too.
Yes, yeah, it was just following around, just constantly staying on, latched on to the backs of just the family. So she's explaining this to them, that the family's just like, well, could we just leave? Could we just go somewhere? And she's like, no, not today. She's like, this stuff is on you. It's going to follow you. You can leave. It doesn't matter. This is latched onto it's feeding off of your family's energy, your anxiety, your stress, all that typical demon stuff. Of course.
Yeah. All the ones I've dealt with feed off of it, my anxiety and fear.
Exactly. Yeah. I've dealt with several, my inner demons. But so Ed basically said, we need to perform an exorcism. And he goes on to explain that it's not just exorcising a demon out of a person, but it's also just kind of it works as a blessing to rid a space, a house, a location of demons, inhuman spirits. Mm-hmm. But to do that, you have to gather sufficient evidence for the Catholic Church, to approve the exorcism. So they, with the help of their assistant, his name is Drew, and then a police officer for some reason. A police officer.
Yeah, they're just kind of those two characters are kind of just thrown in to the movie.
Yeah, I mean the assistant makes sense. That's pretty cool. Like he's like an intern, but then the police officer, I'm not really sure.
The police officer is definitely added for comedic relief.
Yeah, he's a skeptic.
He's a skeptic. Yeah,
yeah. But they place cameras, audio recorders, bells on doors. They got cameras with automatic, like, I think it's the temperature. They'll go off when certain temperatures pass by. And so they're trying to gather evidence. And they did a bunch of research into the house, and Lorraine finds out that there was a woman by the name of Bathsheba Sherman who lived at the house, lived on the property, and she had sacrificed her week-old baby to the devil, and then promptly killed herself in the front yard on the big hanging tree at 3:07 in the morning. And before she jumped off the tree and hung herself, she announced that she cursed anybody who would take her land.
Right.
And so that's where we get the 3:07 thing, which was kind of, that's kind of dumb. But all the clocks stopping at 3:07, that's when Bathsheba had committed die. And but also at the same time, after Bathsheba killed herself, they found just numerous tragic deaths and tragic events that happened on and around the property, because it's like 200 acres. It's huge. There used to be,
and there are multiple houses.
Yeah, there used to be a bunch of houses on the land.
What, like
it was an estate.
A maid committed suicide.
A maid committed suicide. Several people did. There was just murders. It just had a horrible, horrible, tragic past. One of the boys was drowned in the pond out front of the property. So, Lorraine came to the conclusion that this was probably Bathsheba that is tormenting you. She's trying to possess someone. And of course, they were talking about feeding off the energy, the anxiety, the stress. It became apparent that she was going after the mother, Carolyn, because she had the bruises. She was having the most issues, basically. So it was targeting her specifically. And Lorraine sees Bathsheba, that horrible woman that attacked the girls earlier, in a window when she's outside, and it's in Carolyn's room. And so she immediately runs up the stairs, and before she can get up there, Bathsheba vomits in her mouth.
The old vomit in the mouth.
Yeah, the old black demonic bile. Yeah, just like in Annabelle Creation. Yeah, same type of possession. Yeah. But possessed Carolyn, and by the time and she was screaming and sounded like she was throwing up, and Lorraine was trying to get in, the door was locked, and then all of a sudden she just came out like nothing happened. She's like, "Oh, I thought I heard the girls and my husband downstairs." And she's like, "Are you okay?" She's like, "I'm fine."
Yeah.
And just walked out. So she was possessed.
Fully possessed.
Yeah. Another pretty cool scene was when Lorraine was talking to Ed outside of the house, and they were by that big spooky tree that's on the cover of the movie. She saw Bathsheba. This was before Bathsheba possessed her, but she had saw her hanging from the tree, and it was just nasty feet. Yeah. But just a pretty cool shot. So they didn't know that she was possessed, so they're still trying to collect evidence. It was pretty late at night, and it was comedic relief scene with the officer. One of the bells started jingling on the door handle, and everyone stopped, and they were all watching. And then you hear a toilet flush, and then the officer walks out. He's like, "What?"
I had to go.
Yeah. And then at the same time, you hear a loud ass shudder of a camera, because it's 71. So they just giant cameras, giant flashes, and you see one of the girls just walking by, and starts walking up the stairs, and it's the girl that sleepwalks. And
Cindy.
It's just Cindy again. And then the father instinctively was going to get her, and then Ed was like, "No, stop." And she's like, "Why do you want pictures of my daughter sleepwalking?" And he's like, "Those cameras would not take a picture of her. Something is with her. Something is setting off those cameras that is not your human daughter." So it's really stupid, because they were letting her walk away, and they're all just standing there watching. They're like, "Oh my God." And then she gets in the bedroom upstairs and the just door slams shut. And then they all start freaking out. They're like, oh, shit. They're like, maybe we should have gotten her, you know. They tell the intern to go listen to the audio in the room. And you hear like a little boy's voice.
Because they set up recording devices throughout. Yeah,
yeah. The whole house was booby trapped with, you know, things to gather evidence. And they can hear a little boy's voice on the audio saying, you know, come in here. This is where I hide. And there was a hidden trap door inside the dresser or the wardrobe.
Yeah, you could slide the back of the wardrobe across, and there was a hole in the wall.
Yeah, there's a hidden door in the wall, and that's where they found her. And after they got her out, Lorraine, of course, crawls in this tiny little hole in the wall.
And she was in there with the music box.
Yeah, she had the music box because...
So we believe it was Rory, obviously,
Rory. It was Rory's little hideout because Lorraine had actually seen Rory. We saw a glimpse of Rory because the girl told Lorraine about it, and she looked, and since she's a clairvoyant, she saw him in the reflection for a minute.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, and there was a little dust octagon on the shelf in there, and that's where there was another toy, and then the music box fit perfectly on it. So we figured this was Rory. Something, you know, bad stuff was happening to Rory because before he died, so that was his little hidey hole that he had made. But Lorraine crawls into this old hole in the wall and promptly falls. She busts through the floor, or, you know, it's just the wall. Yeah. She falls through the wall.
Past the first floor of the house into the cellar.
Yeah, just falls all the way down into the cellar and just busts out of the wall. She's all bleeding. She's fine, I guess, whatever. But she's bleeding all over her face, and it cut her up pretty bad. But she's down there, and Bathsheba is also down there. And she sees the woman one of the women that lived there after Bathsheba. She sees like her spirit, and she said she keeps repeating like, she made me do it, and it was the woman that I believe had drowned her child. Maybe killed Rory. That might have been Rory.
Yeah,
but
we didn't get to see a good shot of who the kid was.
So we didn't get complete insight. So she saw her, you know, she wasn't freaked out by her. It was just a spirit of the woman that had killed her child. And then we see Bathsheba. Bathsheba's that nasty woman again.
But I think this is when Lorraine sort of learns Bathsheba's MO too, right?
Yeah. We gotta, like, if it wasn't, you know, we got a pretty decent picture of what she was just because she sacrificed her baby to Satan, but after hearing some of the stories and then seeing that spirit say she made me do it, she's kind of gets the idea that Bathsheba is possessing women to kill their children, and that's all she's just making women kill their children. That's why they keep saying she made me do it, and she doesn't really attack Lorraine, but she does like take her locket off of her necklace that she's wearing, and has a picture of Judy, which, you know, something will happen with that later.
Judy is Ed and Lorraine's daughter.
Ed and Lorraine's daughter. Yeah, that wasn't made up. Didn't clarify that. But
and she's a real person too, right?
Yeah. Judy is their actual daughter. So after Lorraine had the encounter with Bathsheba, upstairs Nancy, one of the 5 daughters, started getting dragged around by her hair, just slung across the room, and they're all jumping, trying to like hold her down. Lorraine like snips her hair that was being held, which was kind of dumb, but stops her from being thrown around. And then the whole time the police officer has been recording for some reason, not the intern. So Ed is like, after that stops, Ed's like, did you get that?
Well, and this is the part where you said, you know, if we were to see this video of this happening, someone getting, you know, pulled around a house inexplicably
in
1971, you know, you're like, I'd be a believer right here and now.
Yeah, there would be no doubt in my mind. If a video similar to that was filmed in 1971 and I saw the film, especially at that time, I would have become a preacher or something. I would have been ordained, like, because it's you can't like have it's kind of hard to believe in like demons and stuff and not believe the other side, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because then, like, what do you do against it, right?
Yeah.
You just, it's faith by convenience.
It's a slippery slope for sure.
But anyways, so they got the video and they were like, well, that evidence will do it. And they brought it to the local preacher at the Catholic Church who just kind of acted as like a liaison for the Vatican. Because he said that the approval had to come directly from the Vatican because the Perrin family weren't members of the church, didn't go to church, this, that, and the third.
You might want to start.
Yeah. He told the father was like, we're not really church going people. And he's like, well, you might want to start. But so after they got that evidence and sought after approval from the Vatican. Bathsheba had actually traveled to the Warrens' home and attacked Judy, who the demon learned about because of the locket that it stole from Lorraine. So Judy is awoken in the night from some spooky sounds going on in the house, and she is kind of lured into, like, doors are closing around